You good to go?
Let's go.
Been a while, man.
I'm back again to talk about another movie, ironically. But this time I'm here to whine a lot.
Okay.
So I think you were not even aware of this movie till I told you
No.
about it.
And honestly, I've just checked the trailer.
And we're talking about 65, the movie that just came out. What do you think about it? You haven't seen the movie.
No.
I'm going to talk about it. And you're not going to stop me with those spoilers.
By all means, because you know what, this time I saw the trailer. I was not very impressed.
It's not your kind of movie, you said.
No, sci-fis are not my kind of movie. And I know I'm going to create a lot of rage when I say out there. But, you know, even Jurassic Park, it's not my kind of thing. I'm not going to say what it is. It's just that it's not
for
me.
you.
Not me, yeah.
Now, as someone who's not into this kind of movie, when you saw the trailer, what did you think?
Well, the information that I got from the trailer, I found someone who has time traveled to the past, and he's trying to get a girl who apparently is lost home. So yeah, that's what I understood from the trailer.
Did you get anything else from the trailer apart from those 2 points?
Man, so he had a super cool futuristic gun. So I'm assuming that
He is from the future?
he is from the future. Yes.
Okay, let me tell you what I got from the trailer. So it looked like they were marketing this movie as a version of Planet of the Apes, but with dinosaurs in the Cretaceous period.
Okay.
So it looked like, at first impression, that these were in a intergalactic travel, these characters, and they somehow end up on Earth 65 million years ago. So that was the premise set. And basically, you have big shoes to fill when you set up something like this. Planet of the Apes is an iconic movie, and it has a different fan base. And now you have set an expectation that you have to deliver at a certain level. So that was what was set up from what I saw. That was my first impression when I saw the trailer. And I was quite excited for this. Couple of reasons. I am someone who has been influenced by the movies like Jurassic Park quite a bit. I think I was 5 years old when the first one came out. And these movies have had a huge impact on my life. So I was very curious to see a new, you could say, a revised, fresh, updated portrayal of what the animals look like. So I thought that maybe they're setting up for something like this. It's properly thought out. There's proper time and effort put into character development, not just in terms of the human characters, but the dinosaurs as well. Since this is the spoiler-free part, I'm not going to tell you what I think about that right now.
Okay.
But that was my first impression. What I found surprising was not a lot of people knew about this movie. There was something peculiar about this movie. I saw little to no marketing or any kind of push before the movie came out. It was kind of conflicted. Like usually when you see something like this come out, there's a lot of marketing. You see the movie being advertised each and every place possible, but not for 65, not that much. The second part was, I think, released a few days earlier here in UAE than the rest of the world. I think a week earlier. There weren't any reviews allowed on any of the standard platforms.
Right.
So clearly they did not want reviews out there until the main release went out. So that was a major red flag. I would still watch the movie. I did still watch the movie. But that is kind of like a mixed signal. Like the studio doesn't want you to leave reviews. Why exactly? Unless you are not confident with your product. Why would you do that? So that was a red flag. And it's not the spoilers. It could be one of the reasons, but I'm sure it's not because of the spoilers, because after watching the movie, it looks like it went through 2-3 different sets of management and everyone thought they could do it better. And at the end of it, it looks like a product that no one wants to own up and they just want to get it out there. From something that they had marketed as something like Planet of the Apes with time travel and people, at least 2 people surviving in the time of the dinosaurs. At the end, it turned out to be just a creature feature thriller movie. And if you look at it like that, it's an okay movie. It's nothing great, but it's not so bad either. But if you think of it from the point of view of Jurassic Park, Planet of the Apes, when I'm comparing it to what it was marketed as
Mhm.
initially, what was implied earlier,
Right.
it doesn't keep up. It doesn't meet those standards.
So, in a very brief way, can you explain how the movie Planet of the Apes go?
In a nutshell, it's about a few astronauts who are in outer space on a mission. They have some trouble on the way back. They time travel to the future, few thousand years. I don't have all the details off the top of my head. Few thousand years in the future, they land on a planet where they find apes, chimps, gorillas, and orangutans who are sentient and who are intelligent, who have built a kind of civilization at the level of what humans are right now. And they also find humans who are primitive, like how apes are in current day and time. And they go through several different encounters with these apes. Some of them are captured, some of them are not. Some of them manage to get away. And the one who gets away decides to find a way back. And eventually, as he's traveling on that planet, he comes across one place that reveals where he is. So he comes across the Statue of Liberty. So it turns out he's not on another planet. He's on Earth several thousand years in the future, where there was a nuclear war and humanity as we know it ceased to exist. Few humans did survive, but they went back to the Stone Age.
Right.
Even beyond, where they didn't have a proper language, couldn't communicate, couldn't build things. But for some reason, the apes, other simians that are on the earth, they became smarter and they basically created a civilization of their own. 65 was kind of portrayed in that sense.
The trailer, you mean?
Yeah, the trailer of 65.
Mm.
So I was thinking maybe this is another space mission which comes back into, instead of the future, goes back into the past. And they have to figure out a way to come into. In a movie like that, I expect certain details to be worked out very well. In the sense that if you land on Earth in the Cretaceous period, 65 million years ago, how exactly did you survive? What are your challenges? What are the animals around you? What did you have to do to basically keep yourself safe? What are the predators? What steps did you take to basically get out of their radar? So these are basic, simple things. If you even need to survive the hour. So if you land in the middle of Africa right now on a parachute, you need to know how to get away from lions. So what exactly did you do? So if you're making a movie about that and there are no details, not many details as to how you got out, intelligently, what are the steps you took to get out, then that movie wouldn't connect with me so much. So I felt 65 did not deliver on that. When you actually watch the movie, it seems like they were going to make a regular thriller movie where replace those dinosaurs with anything. They don't particularly care about the dinosaurs as animals themselves. That was one reason where I was kind of let down, you could say. This storyline in particular, it could have been so much better. Jurassic Park, when it came out in 91, I think, they had a certain portrayal of dinosaurs. This is a whole another podcast because I'll have to keep it short. I can talk forever on this. So dinosaurs as animals, we find bits and pieces of their remains over decades. Every year or so, there's an update on what exactly the animal would look like. For example, when the first Jurassic Park came out, we did not know that some of the dinosaurs had feathers. So that's one detail. The raptors that you see in Jurassic Park, even though they're called velociraptors are actually the size of a small dog.
Okay.
They're not the size that you see in the movie. They based it on another animal called a Deinonychus, which is not exactly physically similar, but roughly half the size of what you see there. And they had to kind of spice it up to make a bigger raptor. But much later, we found raptors that are actually the size of what you see in the movie itself. So the timeline of the dinosaurs goes Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous. So most of the dinosaurs you see in Jurassic Park are from the Cretaceous. It should have been called Cretaceous Park, but it's called Jurassic Park. So there is an element of imagination in this, because if you give an animal skeleton and say, like, how does this move? How does this? If you, for example, had a hippo skeleton, it would be very challenging to imagine, if you have never seen a hippo, to imagine this fleshy animal that has razors in front of its mouth. We are filling in the details with educated guesses in some cases. So that was in 1991, Jurassic Park. They have made a few attempts in the Jurassic World series. Let's not go there. But with 65, I thought there was a chance to set up, maybe I'm overthinking this, but there would have been a potential to set up a new franchise, a new universe of dinosaurs as we know it, as we have learnt about them in 2023. Could see the updated versions of what they would actually look like. Of course, that wouldn't be 100% right either, 100% accurate either, but it would be closer to the real picture. That didn't happen. The movie, like I said, nothing wrong with this, but they are looking to make a thriller, and it's a decent thriller. Most of the movie has been shot on location. It looks great, and most of the time when you're watching the movie, you're kind of cautious to see what's coming out of the next corner. That's what the movie looks like. That part they did pretty well, but at the end of the day, it's just a thriller. It's not a dinosaur movie. So if you see from the beginning, it was not marketed. The only people who cared about it are dinosaur nerds who are interested in these animals. And at the end of the day, it didn't deliver for them. So when I look at the whole timeline of what they did with the reviews, the release, it looks like whoever was in charge did not have the same ideas from the time it was shot to the time it was edited and then put out there. Or they might not even be the same people. We don't know. But it looks like a confused effort.
Anurag, I'm not interested in watching the movie myself because, again, it's not my kind of movie. Plus, the trailer didn't really impress me. So why don't you tell me about the movie? And yes, for anyone who's listening or watching, spoiler alert.
If you mind spoilers, stop listening right now and come back after you watch the movie.
Yep. And yes, the comments would also help.
And tell me if you disagree. Especially if you disagree. All things said, I would say this movie is still better than the last two Jurassic World movies.
Ooh, shots fired. You can't take that back right now.
I don't think a lot of people are impressed with the last two Jurassic World movies. At least not the ones who were young when Jurassic Park and The Lost World came out. There was a time when people were not very happy with Jurassic Park 3. Now, compared to Jurassic World franchise, it looks like a classic.
Right.
So, yeah, of course, we're not going to get the same quality because the author who wrote the first two Jurassic Park books is no more, Michael Crichton. From the source material comes the best content. When I speak of movies, at least the first two movies were the best. And after that, it's unfortunately Hollywood just milking a very good franchise, which is not so good anymore. Doesn't exist anymore, in my opinion.
Right.
Jurassic World, the first one, was okay. I'd watch it. I watched it a few times. After that, I've not even bothered to watch it the second time. The second and third Jurassic World movies. I would put 65 above the last two.
Okay.
If I was watching 65 just as a thriller, I'd be like, okay, it's pretty good. There were a couple of scenes. For example, I have a thing for closed spaces. There's a scene where they get caught in a cave and there's a breakdown internally and they're separated. I couldn't look at the screen for very long.
Right.
Because I have a phobia of very cramped and closed spaces. So they've shot that very well. Certain things, even though this is a fantasy, you have to have, at least to a certain level, some semblance of logic. So there's one particular scene where, first of all, they're making way too much noise moving through the jungle. You can't expect to survive doing all of that or making all of those noises. Second, there's a scene where they take shelter in a cave and they do the worst things possible. There's a waterfall, small waterfall right in front of it. He's using some sort of a proximity sensor. So he has set up something, some sort of proximity sensor around. And the feedback that these sensors give him, they are on devices around him. And they glow. Now, at least, for one thing, you don't want glowing lights around you in a jungle when you are planning to sleep, is all the insects will be on you. Number two, it defeats the purpose of the proximity sensor, because if you have glowing lights around you to alert you of some animal moving around near you, all the noises and the lights would basically lead, if it's a predator, it would lead that animal to you. You don't want to put a target on your back or all around you. So that part was like trying to kill yourself. There are easier ways to go. Another reason why I say whoever made this movie is confused is the creature designs are all over the place. I mean, okay, they wanted to, you could always say they wanted to show some purely fictional creatures that are not dinosaurs in any stretch of imagination. So, couple of creatures, they make no sense. They had to throw in a two Tyrannosaurus Rex in there because it's a dinosaur movie. And there happens to be another larger predator, which is, of course, imaginary, whose body plan is completely opposite to what a large carnivorous theropod is. T-Rexes are classified as theropods. They're basically on two legs and they're carnivorous. So basically, there's a larger one, bigger than the T-Rex, which is not bipedal. It's quadrupedal. It's on four legs. Okay. So it's part-time bipedal. Stands up. Creature design can be done very well. Kong Skull Island was fantastic at this. So, it's done well when they show you a scene of a bunch of people moving through the bush and you are looking around to see if you can spot something, to see what's going on. That's basically what you would do when you're out there in the bush yourself. But if you're not doing that, that means basically, it's not immersive enough to put you in their shoes. So that never happened here. So Skull Island, completely fictitious. None of those animals even existed at any point of time. But you were curious to see basically how they operate, where they are, and how you share a space with them and get out alive. That never happened here. So that I would expect in a movie where there are animals that were once alive and you're basically sharing space with them and you're in their timeline, rather than now Kong is a thriller. It's completely fictitious. But it managed to deliver more of an immersive experience than 65. They start out, from the beginning, showing geysers. So it's a volcanic space. There's you could say, water table on top of it, and it periodically explodes. The steam escapes. So, first of all, from the beginning itself, the geyser goes off and the person right next to it is unharmed. Secondly, at the end, when the large dinosaur, so basically he lures it on top of the geyser and it goes off. At the first explosion, it's just fine. And he's just fine because all the hot water is hitting it and landing on everything around. And the second time, it gets burnt and it dies. Both times, he's fine. So you have to give me something here. Like you can't say, okay, that the water is so hot that it's harming that much larger armored creature, but I'm standing under it and I'm okay. So even though I know it's a movie, I'm like suspending disbelief when I watch this movie. But how much is the question? The degree to which you have to do it.